What's up, fam? What's up? Welcome to Hope TV and welcome to Marriage Matters. Under and I here for how many shows is this now?
Too many.
There's too many to count, man. You guys have been rocking with us since March 24th, and here we are, September, and 6 months. It's amazing. We're so excited and so thankful that you spend time with us. I mean, we started this in March with our women's ministry, and the last Sunday of before the pandemic, and I think it was kind of prophetic. I really do, because we had a great session with our women and our women's ministry, and we started this session, and we've been continuing since March. How you feel we've done so far?
I think we've done pretty good.
That's definitely good. She's been doing a good job. So, and we're excited about it, and just been very light and very helpful and very positive too. So we're thankful to you. So those who are watching, listen, if you've been inspired by it, please let somebody know. If you can subscribe, like, comment, or share, send this link out to somebody right now who needs some hope. Whether you're married, whether you're strongly considering marriage, whether it's complicated, whether you're in a situationship, whatever it is, if you want to know more about marriage and how to work through the difficulties and how to get to peace and harmony, this is a great time. So subscribe, like, comment, and share. You help us out algorithms. It's amazing. So drop us a line. Let us know where you're watching from. Come on, send out right now. We got a great couple that's going to be with us tonight and today. We're so excited about it. And let me welcome everybody from Apple TV, Roku, Twitch, Amazon, Periscope, YouTube, the edwardSmith.org website, the HouseHopeAtlanta.com website, the House Hope Atlanta app, Instagram Live, our Instagram Live family who's watching, and also the HopeTV.com. Man, we started this new website. You've been talking about the websites, and they finally did something with the website. So I think if she's pleased with the website, they really did a good job. So we want to welcome everybody who's viewing by the HopeTV.com, and I'm pleased too. Did a great job. And so if you have not seen the site, check it out, the HopeTV.com. Everybody who's watching live, those numbers have shot through the roof already, and it is crazy. So thank you so very much. So I want to hear from you. There we are. Check you out. You make me look good. Look at that. So you can go to the site. You can watch the show live. You can peruse different shows. I mean, you can send comments. We got a new show called Cupid's Arrow. That's a dating show. You can watch us live. You can watch old content. You can see the schedule of events. So 7-8 shows every day on Hope TV. So let me encourage you, check it out. Check it out. Let me know what you think about it. And send that link out so people can be inspired, can be blessed. So thank you, the Hope TV family. Thank you for being a part of it. I appreciate you so very much. Love y'all so much, and we're encouraged by your support. Everybody who's watching, the HopeTV.com. This couple today, tell us about it.
One of my favorite couples. We've known them for a long time.
Yeah.
We're part of their lives. They've been part of our lives. They have blessed us, and more so, they have blessed our ministry. So I am just excited to have them with us today.
Absolutely. One is a native of North Carolina, the other is a native of Virginia, and brought so much joy and brought so much energy, as you said, to our lives, to our ministry, and even to our kids. Our kids have always loved them too.
Yes.
I mean, from the very beginning. So it's a beautiful thing. We want to welcome to the show the one and only Isaac and Deidre Curry. What's up, Ike? What's up, Dee? Welcome.
Hey, Pastor Smith, and I call her First Lady. She don't like it, but she always be my First Lady.
Y'all look amazing. Thank y'all.
Thank you. We just got all dressed up to come to the room. That's all.
Hey, y'all look great. You look great in the room. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. So we're going to start this show off. So, because we like to start off with the truth. So I want to talk to Dee Dee.
No.
Since we're starting off with the truth.
Please.
Dee Dee, tell us how you guys met, how he tracked you down, drove from, North Carolina all the way to Virginia just to track you down. So tell us your story about how you guys got together.
Well, it's so good to be here. Just want to say that. So Isaac and I met. He was in a play in Washington D.C. I was living in Northern Virginia. Shortly after college, I was still there, and he ironically was in a play. He had met my sister at a radio station where she was working, and they exchanged information. She got tickets from him for the play, and I was her plus one. So after we're going to the play, we met and everything afterwards, and we just eventually kind of communicated afterwards. The irony in the situation is that he kept asking me if I had a boyfriend. I was like, yeah, and he kept asking me what his name was. I said, well, you don't know him, so it's not relevant that you need to know his name. And he just kept pressuring me after that. We didn't exchange numbers after that, but a few weeks later.
Hold on, what did you say his name was?
Okay, the truth is he said that I was flirting with him, but I said because I knew he didn't know his name, so I said his name was Isaac. Is that flirting?
No,
Come on, Pastor.
I don't think it's flirting.
Okay.
I think it's like you don't need to know my business. Like,
Thank you. That's exactly how I took it. So, anyways, few weeks later, we still didn't exchange numbers, but a few weeks later, he was talking to my sister again, and they called me, and then it kind of just picked up after that, and here we are. The irony in the situation is that our families know each other, and so our hometowns are only 45 minutes apart, and we, and it's kind of just history after that.
Isaac. Now, here's what I know. I know that she put Becky up to be the middle woman.
Whatever.
I know she set up.
Now we get to the truth, Pastor.
Yeah, I knew it was all set up from the beginning. So they were in cahoots from the beginning. So
There you go.
would you tell me how Becky and how Dee Dee ended up being in cahoots got you in this situation? Tell me your story, because I know
So
you
what
got
happened
another side of the
was-
story. I want to hear your side.
She started lying after she became Becky's plus one. Everything she said before that was the truth. When she became Becky's plus one, they came to the back to thank me for tickets, and she was flirting with me. I was definitely flirting with her, and I kept asking her, could I see her feet? Cause I have a foot fetish. I said, do you have pretty feet? And she wouldn't show me her feet. So I said, what's your boyfriend name? And she said, don't worry about it. So she said, his name Isaac. I said, oh, really? So a few weeks later, I was talking to Becky. I said, call your sister. Dee didn't answer her phone. I left Dee a message, said, when I call, you answer the phone. And that's all I left her voicemail. So the next day, she called me. I guess she was getting up to go to work. It was early in the morning. She called me. I didn't answer. She said, when I call you, you answer. And from that moment, we started talking. So maybe like a few months later, I went back to D.C. for an event, and I asked the people up at the airport, and I said, if she's as pretty as I remember her to be, I'm going to marry her. And I just said that randomly. And she picked me up from the airport, we went to dinner, and that was 18 years ago.
I had on sandals too, because see, before I didn't have on.
Yeah, I saw her feet.
I
saw her feet, and I said, that's my wife. I said, that's my wife. Reverend, I said, that's my wife. And that was 18 years ago.
Right. The book say how beautiful are the feet now. So you in the book.
See, I could never think of a scripture to make that make sense. And that was 18 years ago. I'm going to tell you what's so funny about this whole story. Our 1 year anniversary, we celebrate at y'all's house.
wow, you sure did. I remember.
Our 1 year anniversary, we celebrated at your house. We just got to the church, and we turned up, and we had a good time. So it just shows you how far we go back. And you guys have been nothing but an amazing example to us through thick, through thin. When I messed up and she almost put me out, y'all helped save the day. So we just thankful.
Hey man, it goes through them ups and downs, bro. We've been there for each other, and it's amazing how the stories parallel, because you and Dee raised in the church. Mm-hmm. Isaac, your mom was a pastor. Dee Dee, your grandfather, and father and whole families. So we both, her father was a pastor, my father's a pastor. And I think it's so good because PKs and preachers' kids sometimes end up hating church, falling away from church. I think that's a good question because we struggle with it a lot. Like how do we raise the boys like we were raised? And I think I kind of want to ask you that question: how were you raised, and how did church influence you both in terms of how you were raised in your life today?
For me, church, it was very instrumental in me growing up as well. I was made to go to church. I didn't like it. I grew up back when I was growing up, church, it was popular, but it wasn't cool when you were a kid. You used to get picked on for going to church. I used to get picked on for singing. And I used to always be the dude that was made to go to church. When my friends could go and do any and everything else, I could never do. My mother used to always tell me there are certain things that you do that you can't do that your other friends can get away with. You'll never be able to get away with it. And I never understood that. So I don't know life without church, especially growing up. As I've grown older, I still love it. I still understand the importance, but my mindset and the knowledge of about God, about some of the things that I learned in church then, some of the way that things were misconstrued and twisted a little bit. As I've gotten older and I found out about the faith and about the gospel for myself, I began to kind of like, that ain't what I was taught. I remember having a conversation with some friends and they were having a conversation with me about once saved, always saved. It was like, once you get saved, you're always saved. And I was like, but that ain't where I was raised. If I go out here and cut somebody out and I die, I'm going to hell. And they was like, oh no, God ain't like that. What kind of God would do that? But so I remember being at Bible study at House of Hope one time. We was at H.F. Shepherd Drive, and I'd never forget. I remember specifically looking at D, saying, "I never knew this." You were teaching the Bible study, and you were saying that speaking in tongues, was actually a language. You said they were actually talking to one another, and that was their language. Just like we speak English, they spoke in tongues. And I was like, D, I never knew that. I thought it was something that just hit you when so when you grow and you learn more about the faith, it changes your perspective and things that you grew up on. You find another truth about it. So for me now, I can see through fake, I can see through phony, I can see through just buffoonery. I really just want the word of God. I want something that's going to change my life. And unfortunately, a lot of times church gets a bad rap because you don't have a lot of people that keep the main thing. There's always an agenda or an objective connected to it, which makes people turn away or look at our Christianity as a joke. So I'm very, being 47 now, I have a different perspective, but I still reverence church and I understand it, but just personally, I've grown to see that ain't necessary, but this is, and that definitely wasn't necessary, but this is. So,
and to just piggyback or to add to, for me, church was mandatory, but I still felt like I had to go. It was a must. Even now, I feel, or not even just church, but just it's more so having a relationship with God. I do feel like it's definitely important. I have seen friends and family that went so much till when they hit college or they went out or did whatever, they just went wild and crazy. And I can't say I was that person, but I definitely.
That was Becky.
Stop.
You're going to leave Becky alone.
I do, like,
Right.
it was definitely important. Now, as a child, it was extremely hard. I remember because my grandfather is known in the city, or at least the church. I remember, like, I when I left the doors, I was told, not only are we gonna know, but everybody's gonna know. Like, you have people are watching you. Not only, it's not just, so it's like the word would get to my mom or parents before I got home. So that scared me. Like, that alone just made me think like, okay, well, I need to at least try my best to do what it is I was supposed to do. Yeah. So that was, and my mom, she taught and preached hell a lot. Like it's coming. I honestly did not believe that we would get to this day right now, like that I would see adulthood. I thought God was coming back any day, literally any day. So here we are. I do still believe that he's coming.
Any
day. But I think the difference in today's generation is that we don't hear it as much. And I think it's a long,
the narrative
message.
Church has become like Trump. The narrative has changed. It's not fire and brimstones, and it's everything else. So when you find a good Bible preaching, like Pastor Smith always says, when you find a church where you growing, where you going, then that's a church you stay at. But when you find these other churches, when you go for every other reason, they shout a lot. The music is good, this, that, the other. You know, you can get lost in the sauce, man. And we're in a crazy world, so you know, you got to choose wisely.
It's funny that you talked about, you know, hating going, Isaac, you know, and getting picked on, because in a real sense, the thing that you hated, it developed your life. When you think about Nancy Wilson, who she is and who she was as a pastor, preacher, singer, radio host, you're her son, athlete, you know, don't want to be in church, but yet got this gift. And then all of a sudden, as a teenager, you decide to start singing professionally. And that's how you came on the scene. So talk about that transition. What pushed you? I mean, you just left home. So I'm tired of church. I'm tired of home.
I'm tired of this church.
I'm tired.
You said it, Pastor. Like what you started off saying was exactly. It's the very thing I hated as a child is a thing that I love, and it allows me and affords me to take care of my family. It's weird. Like literally, you said it. I got picked on for singing. My mother had her own show called Gospel Expo. It was equivalent to the Bobby Jones Gospel Show, but it was locally. It was in the Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point area. And she would come on every Sunday morning. I was made to sing. I just came across some clips. It's on YouTube now. And I was terrible. I couldn't sing a lick, but I was made to sing. And I would get picked on when I go to school. And my mother it was church or work when we got older. We couldn't go to dances. We couldn't go to the parties. We couldn't do nothing. Couldn't go to movies. So it was really hard for me. And when I got 16, I'll never forget, my mother was going to the Church of God in Christ convocation in Memphis. And my mother would go for the week. And she would leave us at home with, our stepfather. So Teddy would be there. And our stepfather was there. And my mother would go because she was the minister of music for the North Carolina jurisdiction. So she had to be there to represent.
She was Maddie of North Carolina.
Yes.
Okay.
She ain't throw no shoes though. So when my mother went, she made a deal with me. I was singing with John P. Key prior to that. And I've been knowing John since I was like 9 years old. And he would come to the area, come to our church and do concerts all the time. Where he had called my mom and said, I started a group, I want Isaac to sing. So my mother said, fine, I trust you, John, I know you. And my mother made a deal. She said, you can go. And we would travel on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. I would come home every Sunday night. And she said, the first time you don't get up for school on Monday, you can't sing no more. So I was like, cool. So the first 2-3 months, I was on it because I was excited. When we started getting back home about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, because we would have to ride the bus to Charlotte, they have to drive another hour to Greensboro and be back up at school. And I started complaining. And she said, you can't go. So when she went to convocation, I said, I'm moving. I'm leaving. My mother was gone to Church of God Christ Convention. And I packed up my clothes, one suitcase, and I moved to Charlotte. And I left. So that was me running away. Left school. I dropped out of school 11th grade year. And I never came back. And I didn't talk to my mom. I wasn't scared to talk to my mom for a month. Because I knew she gonna kill me. And John was talking to her unbeknownst to me. And so she gave John her blessings and everything. And it started from there, man. And I haven't looked back since. It is crazy. I've been on my own since I was 16 years old.
Wow.
So,
I mean, 16-year-olds singing with John P. Key, and Didi, you are the bishop's, granddaughter. You know what I mean, and raised in that whole situation. So, what's interesting is, when did you first become familiar with Isaac?
tell the truth.
Honestly, so we used to watch him growing up on Sundays. Well, at least his mom. Like, I don't really have much. Me personally, I don't have much memory of him on Gospel Expo, his mom's show. But let's fast forward. 1997, I was a senior in high school. My sister and maybe a cousin and a friend. I actually told Isaac this when we first met him. We were at his concert, the Menace Standard debut concert.
Our first
I was
concert
in the
ever.
balcony. I had bought my little ticket. I was in the balcony. We were at the concert. It was them, Hezekiah,
Walker.
right,
And Donald
Donald
Lawrence.
Lawrence. We were there. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
So
1996. No,
Yeah.
1997.
97. So fast forward, 4, 5, 6 years, we meet. So that
Right.
was our official meeting.
Yeah, and I didn't know. I mean, of course, I didn't know. I mean, this was our big debut concert, this big church in Greensboro. Bishop Hezekiah Walker, Donald Lawrence, Minister Standard, and D was in the balcony. I was like, that's crazy. And
I
didn't
told
find
him
out-
about the whole event. He was like,
Yeah.
"You were there?"
And she was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So it's just
Wow.
amazing.
The next day,
That's city.
I went and bought the little cassette.
Yeah, eyes on
How
the
did your
reverend.
parents
No,
feel?
I like the music.
Diddy, how did your parents feel and your grandparents, how did they feel when they met Ike? I mean, was it, did they like him at first or, how did that go?
My parents, they liked Isaac. So I think when they officially met him, we were already talking about getting married. So it was like, whoa, like, wait. And so it was, so if anything, they were more so concerned about, because I think I was 22? They wanted me to kind of wait a little bit, experience life more, travel more. But so they didn't necessarily they weren't opposed to him, but they just wanted me to experience life a little more.
This girl gonna tell a version that don't even that nobody understands. I said
So what happened, Ike?
this what happened. So we were dating probably about 6, 7 months prior to me ever meeting her parents. And when I went to meet her parents, it maybe been a year. It was
Right.
it was like a year.
We were talking engagement. That's what I
Yeah.
said.
So a year, we had dated a year. I never met her parents, anything. I went to Virginia.
we lived.
I was living in Atlanta.
Yeah, and
and she
lived
was
in
living in Northern Virginia.
So it's long distance.
So I went to meet her parents, and when I went to meet them, I went to ask them for their hand in marriage. So I went to her dad's job, and he was working at a car dealership in the Virginia area. And I went to him, had a long conversation. He was so nice. He was like, "Man, I appreciate this. This is respectful. I know your family. I know your mom. This is great, man. Appreciate it." I said, "Well, I'm gonna go to the house and talk to Dee's mom tonight. I would love you to join us." It was a great conversation. We left there feeling good. Like, okay, this is good. We got the dad. Went to the house that night, and I was sitting here. Dee was sitting here. Her mom was sitting there. Dad was sitting there.
What you not gonna do?
And when I tell you, her mama looked at me and said, "What's your intentions?" And the daddy sat back and didn't say nothing, like we never talked. He left me out there to die. And I'm looking at him like, hell, Doc, she drilled me. I left there feeling uncomfortable. I left there feeling like your parents don't like me. She ended up being the sweetest woman that I've ever met in my life, but she took me through hell, bro. And, they had valid concerns because I was a hot mess. But they gave me the blessings, and, they love me now.
So how did it go when you brought Dee Dee home to meet your family? Because I know it's kind of rough when you have all sisters and the mom.
They loved her. They loved her from my mama, my sisters. Everybody loved her. You got to understand. I've been married before. It didn't go well. So it was a breath of fresh air to bring somebody home like Dee, and it was a blessing. And they loved her. My mother was weird. But one thing I learned from my previous marriage was don't get your family involved in your business.
Yeah.
Because my mom and my sisters naturally are carved and cut to always take her side. So it's almost like that allegiance, like, well, I'm gonna take her side just because she expect me to take your side. So I knew keep Kim, Angie, and Nancy out of my business and we'll be all right. And that's what we did. And we've been fine.
That's 2004, we moved to Atlanta. We're both from Macon, and pastored down there for 14 years, and we moved here to come to Great Travelers Rest House of Hope in January 2004. Total different kind of context, wonderful people, strong church, but just a different style, And different doesn't mean deficient, just different,
Different.
Had an older pastor who was, my predecessor, older gentleman, Pastor Shepherd, phenomenal pastor. Average church age was 63.6. So we come here in January, coming from a church that's praise and worship, more contemporary, more free, came into a more ultra conservative background. So we got here. It was a problem. It was a challenge for the first months.
Big challenge.
For Andrea, because it wasn't what we were accustomed to, worship-wise.
Right.
And, musically, she's a musician, I was a musician, we were, used to the, a little different approach in terms of more contemporary, old school, but still we love all genres. So it was a challenge. We started growing musically, but we still didn't have praise and worship. So December 2004, I think it might be Pastor Charles Jenkins, our friend. Charles Jenkins called me and said, man, Ike is in Atlanta now, and you need to come and have him come over to the church. And I think you guys just got married. This was December. You and D came. You sang "Great Is Thy Faithfulness."
With your shades.
I don't say.
Start wearing these.
This is nostalgia. I had to put him on.
Right. I was like, he did this for you.
And we went out that evening, and we just connected. And the next month, February of 2005, we started the 7:30 service, and you started a praise team. Our first praise leader. Now, understand this. When I went to the church, they told me praise and worship will come in this church over my dead body. That's my first day as pastor. That's what they told me. Said praise and worship will come here over my dead body. So I'm here for 1 year. You don't know all this, but I was able to cajole you and say, nah, you're going to be the worship leader. So tell us what you recall about that.
Woo! So, first of all, we fell in love with you guys, and we were looking for a church where we can not only spiritually grow, like we were looking for two things. We were looking for somebody that could preach and that had a strong music department, because I believe in balance. So when I got to the church and I heard you preach, I don't even remember anything about the music, because you preached such an amazing message, and your approach, I was like, this is the coldest preacher I've ever heard in my life. I want to join. I ain't never leaving. I want to be here. And we hung out after church, and we hung out like we've been knowing each other for 15 years. It was the craziest thing ever. Yeah. And we fell in love with you guys. And when we started talking about it, that's when I started paying attention to the deacons doing devotion and the handbells and all those amazing, the pipe organ. And I was like, oh my God. So I didn't realize what was going on. So when I did, I thought, I'm going to go in here, boom, I'm a jumpstart. So I'm going to start just doing all these songs, and I start calling all my friends that I knew that did praise and worship at other churches around the country. I was like, this is my first time ever doing this. I want to just do something great. So I got in, man, I was ready. And I died a horrible death. Them people looked at me like, Pastor, they looked at me like, who are you? What you think you're doing? Because I did not have wisdom on how to do it. Now, let me fast forward maybe like a year. So I got, started doing it. They just started accepting it. And I never forget, you had us come to you had us come to the senior citizens banquet. You remember the banquet? It was a banquet that pastor would always do to pay respect and homage to our elderly saints, our older saints, our seasoned saints, as he called them. And we would go, and he had the praise team come. So I'm up there singing, Lord, you are good. People older, they can't move like the younger people. And pastor looking at me like, so he told me after, he said, Ike, Common sense would tell you, you don't come here and do that song. You could have put out a hymn. You could have. He said, you got people on walkers, you got people on canes. He said, man, what was you doing, man? So it was that moment that I learned how to introduce praise and worship, but tag it with a hymn. So I would do a new song that they never heard, but tag it with an old school song. And when we started doing that, and then you would always come and marry the two. So we were able to turn the corner, but boy, it was rough. And I had some learning curves ahead of me, but it was my first experience. And I've done worship at a few churches since then. And I can honestly say, I learned everything I learned serving at Greater Travelers Rest House of Hope. And it even helped me on stage as a performer, as a solo artist, because that was my first experience ever singing by myself. I was always either in a group with Minister Standard, John P. Key, Hezekiah, all the people I worked with. I had never stood in front of people by myself. So it really molded who I am as a solo artist. It made me comfortable to sing and minister in front of people alone.
Wow. So let me ask you something. So I would always, tell you that, and don't get too deep on me, saints. Let me put that out here first. So I would always tell you have like the soul R&B voice. I hear some R&B in you. It doesn't have to be, bad. It doesn't have to be, violent or anything, but you have like a soul, like an R&B. And you would always say, my mama would kill me. My mama would die. My mama would do this. And I was like, but it could be love songs. It could be, it could be sexy R&B. Let's just, you have that voice.
For the saints.
Right. I said, we need love songs too. Saints,
16 years ago.
Been saying it for a long
16,
time.
17 years ago, you said that. And it goes back to our original conversation about how we grew up in church and just the fear. There was a certain level of fear that I had based off the way I was raised. And I did not understand. I was like, they pastors and first ladies telling me do love music. I was like, man, I'll go to hell. And we couldn't understand it. And I never forget, if you fast forward to 2019, I called and I was talking to Pastor Smith. I said, Pastor Smith, I got this song I need you to hear. The world hadn't even heard it. And I sent it to you guys. And when I sent it to you guys, you said, Joker, this is what I've been trying to tell you to do for 15 years. It never dawned on me that what I was doing was exactly what y'all literally prophesied into my life, and I could not understand it. I never saw myself in that light. And not only did I do one song, but I ended up doing a half of a record just dedicated to love and relationships and marriage. So anybody who has a problem or loves it, thank the Smiths, because they planted that seed in my life 15 years ago.
So let me ask you this, Diddy. How did it make you feel? Like, you've always been kind of like in the background, you stay to yourself, you're kind of quiet. How did it make you feel for him to dedicate that song to you, to include you in the video, the process? Tell me how that made you feel.
Yeah, so I first heard the song after a studio session. So normally during that time he was coming home super, super late. So that's normally when he will play his music. So he asked me to play. He played it for me one night, and I was like, I said, "Wait, are you serious?" I was just kind of shocked. Like, what? Are you gonna have that on your album? And so as time progressed, I really understood like his seriousness with it. But what really threw me off was that he was adamant about making it the single, because that isn't conventional what we hear on radio, gospel radio, and then fast forward to last year, he took it up several more notches and did the photo shoot, and then for us to be on the cover and that type of thing. And I just felt super honored with him wanting to honor me. And I felt super special. I actually was talking about it one day over the weekend. I was like, man, I miss, because I think it came up in my memories or something on my phone.
No, you went to get us something to eat.
What did I do?
You went to get us something to eat the other day, and you was in line, and somebody.
Oh, that's what it was. I was at.
You said,
I was at American Deli getting some lemon pepper wings the other day, and the lady, mind you, I'm all masked up, and the lady was like, "Are you her?" And I said, what are you talking? And I was like, yeah. And then, and so it just kind of reminded me, it was a year ago that we had the photo shoot and we got all jazzy. I love dressing up and like I said, he just what he said he wanted to honor me, and I just felt super special. I didn't necessarily, even with all that, I didn't necessarily agree that it should have been this single because at the end of the day, I'm more concerned about his career and what it, the overall picture and what the direction he goes in. But I was honored. I was just super honored. And then we ended up doing a video shoot for it. It was just all exciting. It was like
Yeah.
something I never really had encountered or had to do. And
So let me jump in
we got
here.
our acting career going, and I enjoyed it.
Ooh. So let me jump in here. Okay,
What?
so let me just put this out there.
Okay.
This was not a makeup record. I wasn't in the doghouse when we wrote the song. I wasn't in trouble. I hadn't messed up. I had already previously messed up so many times. So the song wasn't an apology. The song wasn't she about to put me out. He must have done something because I heard something like, oh, this Joker must have messed up this time. He did a whole song. And what it was is
I actually had somebody confront me. She said, when I heard the song, I just said, oh. This is the lady that told me this.
this is an older saint
She
too.
said, what has he done? And I was just looking at her like, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah, but I hadn't done anything wrong. For D and I, this was a song not about what we had gone through. It was a song more so I wanted to write and celebrate her for how she's stood by me and how we've overcome things. So many times people write songs when you're in the valley, when you're in trouble, when you're having problems, or when it's fresh on somebody's mind. And I have made my fair share of mess ups. I have completely given her any reason to pack up and walk away. And we're very open and honest about that. We've had counseling about that. I've had to get my life in order and grow up real fast. But this song was really a celebration of how strong women are. Women take things that they don't necessarily deserve to have to go through.
True.
They are just they're so amazing. And to stand by a man, people say women are crazy when you stand by a man when he may have messed up, when he may have made a bad decision or done something, or just done something dumb. But it really shows the strength of a woman when she can stand by you. So we wanted to talk about all the things we'd overcome. And then when you fast forward to the video, what a lot of people don't know, when we did the video, there was a scene in the video where we had a miscarriage. What people didn't know was we had just had a miscarriage maybe 2 to 3 months prior to doing that video. We were pregnant and we were keeping it quiet because we were wanting to get through the first trimester, and we didn't make it, and we had a miscarriage, and it was just devastating because for so many years she wanted another child and I didn't. Then I would want another child. She was like, I don't want no child right now. I lost weight. I don't want to put that. So when we finally got to a place where we agreed on having a child again, we were excited. And we had a miscarriage. So even reenacting that scene in the video, it was Dee really, it was acting, but she had gone through that. And I think it was a release for her to get that off of her. So it was so many things that video did for our marriage. And I can honestly say, through all the things that we've gone through and being together 18 years, being married 16 years, this is the closest and the happiest that we've ever been. And it's because we've been able to face all of our demons, accept the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just put a cherry on top with this music. So I just celebrate women for sticking by us and staying in the fight and loving us through our mess and just just keeping us, man. It's just like, man, I know my blessings are connected to Dee, and no matter how many times I forfeited, it was her strength and it was her resilience that has us where we are. And I'm only blessed today because I'm still with Dee and I'm connected to her. So
To be
Yeah.
kept by Dee Dee.
oh
Better look at the Lord.
yeah. So it was
Better look at
it was. And I, honestly, Pastor, during
I was
this pandemic,
appreciative. I was so
during this
appreciative.
pandemic, divorce is at an all-time high. Domestic violence is at an all-time high. And we've had numerous testimonies of how her and some of the other songs from my album have really bridged the gap and kept people together. And it's just amazing. I had no idea that people would identify with the message like this, and I was able to celebrate women.
You seen marriage proposals,
Marriage proposals,
Yeah.
first dances. I've done video weddings during this pandemic. Because let me tell you something, this pandemic messed me up because I was booked June and July for so many weddings.
right?
They got postponed and got canceled due to the pandemic. But I've done video weddings. I've seen proposals. I mean, it has been overwhelming. And I was like, I should have listened to Pastor Smith and Andre a long time ago.
You know, the song, just not just because of your voice, and we love your voice, but for me, you know, what happens a lot of times when we get married as Christians is what can we celebrate? You know, there's nothing we don't have anything that celebrates. I'm not talking about, we love Jesus, we love the church, and we love that, but to celebrate the union, I think what happens is you can stop investing in it. And I think, and when you stop investing in it, you lose the excitement, you lose the energy, and then, you know, and I think sometimes what happens is when there's nothing to bring you back together as a celebration, you wonder. And I think that's the piece that I love about the song so much, because it's a celebration of love. And I think in the church, you know, Bishop, you know, it's hard to celebrate. We celebrate Christ, but how do we come together and have stuff to celebrate each other? You know, the video, you talked about the video, we got to check it out because the song is amazing. It's an amazing song. And I'm glad to hear that people are receiving it because I know how judgmental, how small-minded believers can be. And that's the thing about it. The main ones who condemn songs about love, you got 7 or 8 kids. So my question would be, you didn't get those kids singing about Jesus. You know what I mean? So you think about, you know what I mean? So
absolutely,
we make it so bad, so dirty. But this song is amazing. Let's check it out right quick. We're gonna go through the song.
Okay.
I want everybody to watch this song. And if you got somebody you love, check it out.
God instituted marriage before he instituted the church. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. The two shall become one flesh. It is clear that God has brought you all together on the occasion of your 15th anniversary. But man without God is but dust.
Holy Ghost, I'm so grateful, God, you know you did the most when you created her for me, Lord, you know I have witnessed your glory, all this favor you showed me. When you gave it to me, I had to learn what to do with your blessing. Now I know that a man who findeth a wife finds a good thing. So every time I think of her, I'm thanking you. And when I give my love to her, I'm thanking you. Loving her like Christ loved the church, 'cause you told me to. Yeah, she a missy on your glory. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm worthy, but I'm under your covenant, so I ain't worried. I'm just thanking you. When I think of her, I'm just thanking you. When I give her love, I'm just thanking you. Married and in love, I'm just thanking you. You. When I think of her, I'm just thanking you. When I give her love, I'm just thanking you. Married and in love, I'm just thanking you. Song of Solomon, chapter 8. Read it to me, tell me what it says. I know that you don't make mistakes, so if it's in the book, then it must be okay to love her. No, I'm not ashamed, I won't shy away. I know I was made to love her. God give me grace, and I hope that every night feels like a wedding night. I pray, oh yeah. Yes, a man who findeth a wife finds a good thing. So every time I think of her, I'm thinking you. And when I give my love to her, I'm thanking you. Loving her like Christ loved the church, 'cause you told me to. Yeah, she a missy on your glory. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm worthy, but I'm under your covenant, so I ain't worried. I'm just thanking you. I don't understand why we can't talk about being in love with the one he gave us. He know what he was doing, 'cause she was his greatest creation. So I hope that you don't mind when I testify the way I do. So when I think about loving her, I just wanna thank you. And when I give my love to her, I'm thanking you. Loving her like Christ loved the church, 'cause you told me to. Yeah, she a missy on your glory. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm worthy, but I'm under your covenant, so I ain't worried. I'm just thanking you. When I think of her, I'm just thanking you. When I give her love, I'm just thanking you. Married and in love, I'm just thanking you. When I think of her, I'm just thanking you. When I give her love, I'm just thanking you. Married and in love, I'm just thanking you.
You know, I was talking to one of my youngins, and he asked me, "How did you know April? Like, why her? Why did you pick her? Why her?" And I was just like, I'm comfortable enough to show my flaws, motivated enough to fix them, and inspired enough to create a love that is flawless.
See what you started. You see what you see what you started. That song there, it make you.
Yeah, it makes you.
That song
You
there.
know, like that, it makes you.
That song there, bro. Oh my goodness, man. How has the Christian community received it? I mean, I know you talk about some engagements, but
Surprisingly, it's been good, and I was shocked. And it goes back to what D said. I refuse to allow anybody to put me in a bubble. And Pastor Smith, I keep referencing this, but you say so many things that I can actually quote everything I say. You say, so you know I ain't just making this up. You said to me, we live in this big old world with this big old God with all these amazing, extraordinary, extravagant things, but we allow church to put us in a small bubble. You said that don't make no sense. So to experience people really receiving it, so I was like, I'm gonna make it my first single, and if it does well, great. If it doesn't, I fall on the sword, because I'm gonna go with my convictions. And people have really, really received it. It didn't quite get the #1 on the charts because the pandemic really, really, really messed up a lot of things when it came to radio. But it was heard, it was received from mainstream artists and church people. So it really got it kind of was it didn't do, and it wasn't as big as Major's "This Is Why I Love You," but the feedback from it was just as big. Millions of hits on the video, on the YouTube clips. It was such a blessing, man. So, I don't know where this leads me next. I might just go all the way left and do an old church album next time, just keep them guessing. But it was a great experience. People seem to love it.
I didn't get to have my questions. We out of time, but y'all got to come back for part 2, please.
Oh, please.
I mean, I couldn't finish my question, but let me do this right quickly, because I think you talked about the miscarriage and overcoming that and Dee's strength. So people who are watching right now, Andre's been talking to a lot of couples that deal with infertility issues. I can't count the number of people she's been talking to. They want to have a child and can't, or people who've gone through struggles in their marriage. What piece of advice would each one of you give to somebody who's going through something difficult? What piece of advice would you, Dee, and would you give to those couples who are watching? how to get through difficult times.
The piece of advice that I would give for couples that want to have children or haven't been able to have children is that I would tell them to keep trying. I know it, and I know what it's like to be in that place where you're like, dang, can I just get one? Or even seeing, and it sounds so backwards, but even recently I've asked myself, I've seen a friend of mine and she's not married, but she just newly had a kid, and I'm like, well, wow, how did it, it's not fair. I know so many couples that have been together for years, and it just doesn't seem fair. But I would just say, making a matter of prayer, try not to take it personally. I've been there. I somewhat, and I don't know about you, I can't say we've had this conversation, but I've accepted that maybe Elena is it, and I'm not saying I'm settling, but the doctors could just say, oh, you're a woman of a certain age, I feel like I'm a realist, and that's just me personally, but I try to accept what is and learn from that and live with the card that has been dealt.
Yeah.
That's just me. And I know for some people that is hard to accept at times when you want the results to be different, but I personally try to look at that card and live with that. And if it is something that's bothering me still, I pray about it. Literally, I have to just make things a matter of prayer, because if it's something I can't change and I don't want to go through the extent of IVF, which I don't, then I'm living with the card.
Yeah. For me, I would speak from a man's perspective. I would encourage every man to be completely and overly sensitive to what the wife goes through. Dee and I had 3 miscarriages in our marriage. We had 3, and we had 1 child out of it, and it's been rough. It's been an uphill battle, disappointing. And honestly, if I'm honest, Dee always took it harder than me, because my mindset after the first one was like, oh, we'll just try again. It's no problem. But I didn't understand the pain, the bond, and I was very insensitive the first time around, because I felt like we could just try again. The second time around, it hit a little harder, and you guys are in our life the second time around, and then even this third one, I was able to be super, super, super sensitive to her, be there. We haven't had any, we haven't had a chance to get over that hump, but we take these lemons and make lemonade, and we have a good time practicing and trying. So just be there for, be sensitive, don't rush the process. Hear her, and I believe that we've even gotten testimonies from the video how that one scene alone gave people a sense of healing, to see a woman, go through that pain visually and get through it. And Dee did a good job. It was therapeutic for her as well. So I would just encourage men to just be sensitive.
Wow, y'all are awesome. This has been incredible. Hey, you said you're gonna come back next week, so we're gonna close this one. Things you want to say on this one?
Nope, I'm good.
Hey, this has been amazing. I hope you guys have been inspired and encouraged. Make sure you go get Isaac's record. Go get that record. Go get that. You gotta get that. You gotta get that. You gotta get it. You gotta play it over and over and over again. And we're gonna come back and talk some more about the rest of some of his songs. And hey, I hope you've enjoyed this part 1 of Marriage Matters with Isaac and Dee Curry. We enjoyed you so much. On behalf of Andre and I, thank you for being a part. We're going to log off now, but as always, remember this: if you be good to God, God be good to you. Till next time, peace.
Bye, y'all.